Sergeant Marcus Hale crouched behind the shattered wall of the Lyra research outpost, his pulse still racing from the aftershocks. The ground trembled beneath Nova Centauri's violet sky, shards of crystalline rock tinkling down like glass rain. Ahead, the lab's roof had collapsed, leaving mangled metal beams and smoking consoles. Human intelligence warned of sudden seismic activity. What no one expected was the trapped xenobiologist calling out for help. Kayliri's voice was soft but urgent. Marcus could see her pale blue skin through a gap in the rubble. Her translator unit lay crushed beside her. Without thinking, he darted forward, ducking under a bent beam. Each step sent a spray of dust into the air. He reached her side and knelt, voice calm but firm. "Stay still," he told her. "I've got you." She looked at him with wide, dark eyes framed by lavender hair. For a moment, time froze. The war between human and Lyra forces felt distant here, overshadowed by simple survival. Marcus slid his arm under her elbow, lifting her gently. Kayliri winced, but did not protest. He guided her toward a clear path, staying alert for further collapses. Behind them, the outpost grumbled, as if warning of a final collapse. Marcus ran, supporting Kayliri's weight. She stumbled, and he caught her. A loose beam clanged overhead, but they cleared it by inches. Outside, the air was crisp and carried the scent of alien flora that glowed faintly in the dim light. Marcus laid Kayliri on a patch of soft moss, quickly checking her for injuries. "Are you hurt?" he asked. "My arm," she whispered, pointing to a shallow cut. He pressed a patch from his medkit to staunch the bleeding. Her unusual physiology slowed the pain. She nodded in thanks. Marcus studied her face. She was brave, calm when others might panic. For a Lyra scientist, she had a quiet strength. He felt a warmth in his chest, unfamiliar and unwelcome on a battlefield. Duty warned him to stay distant. He was a soldier, trained to fight, not to feel. But Kayliri's gentle gaze made that easy rule harder to follow. He helped her sit up. Around them, other soldiers arrived, securing the area and relaying status updates. Marcus reported the rescue, and that Kayliri would need further care. She offered a small smile, touching his arm in silent gratitude. As medics prepared to carry her away, Marcus hesitated. He wanted to say more, ask if she was truly safe, if she would let him stay by her side. But the orders came. The research team was to relocate. Marcus stood and saluted. Kayliri returned the gesture, her eyes bright with a mixture of relief and something else he could not name. That night, under Nova Centauri's twin moons, Marcus lay in his bunk. He replayed her smile, the way she had trusted him. He wondered if this feeling would endure beyond war's violence. Somewhere in the vast frontier, an unlikely friendship had formed, and in that fragile bond lay the seed of something more, something that might change both their worlds forever. Sergeant Marcus Hale moved quietly through the glowing forest of Nova Centauri. He held his pulse rifle in one hand, his other gently on Kayliri's arm. The plants around them shone with pale violet light, each leaf like a crystal facet. Kayliri adjusted the handheld scanner, her dark eyes flicking over the tiny screen. "Readings are low," she whispered, breath-catching. Though her voice was calm, Marcus saw the tension in her shoulders. They had volunteered together for this dusk mission. Marcus would protect her while she gathered data on the planet's strange life. Now, every shadow felt alive. A low growl rolled through the trees. The ground trembled. A plasma-tipped predator burst from the underbrush on 4 legs, its red eyes cutting through the dim light and spines crackling with energy. Kayliri froze, the scanner slipping from her fingers. Marcus lunged forward. "Get down," he ordered, pulling her behind a mossy boulder. The creature charged and spat a bolt of green energy. Marcus fired a warning shot that burst into the air with a sharp crack. The beast halted, its spines dimming. Her hand shook against his arm. Marcus pressed his palm to hers. "Steady," he said, voice soft. Kayliri met his gaze, fear and trust mingling in her eyes. He managed a small, reassuring smile. She gripped her scanner and stepped out, scanning the clearing. Marcus covered her, alert to any movement. After a long moment, the predator turned and vanished into the glowing ferns. Kayleri exhaled, relief softening her features. They moved on, deeper into the crystal trees. Kayleri pointed to a grove where sunlight filtered through, leaving bright pulses on the ground. These trees focused light into energy bursts, she said, voice excited despite her nerves. Marcus knelt to examine a broken leaf. It glittered like glass. Fascinating, he said, helping her climb onto a low branch so she could get a better angle for her scanner. From that height, Kayleri surveyed the forest floor. Marcus watched her silhouette, the curve of her shoulders, and felt warmth in his chest. He forced himself to focus on the mission. The scanner's beep broke his thought. Movement ahead, Kayleri warned. They crept forward, vines brushing their boots. Marcus's pulse raced once more, but it was only a small herd of herbivores grazing on bioluminescent moss. Kayleri laughed softly, a sound that eased his tension. Beautiful, she whispered. Marcus laughed too. Nothing to worry about this time. She slid off the branch and stood close to him. Thank you, she said quietly. Always, he replied, then added, stay close. They gathered the final readings and began the walk back to camp. The forest glow dimmed as night fell. When they reached the jungle edge, the lights of the human outpost twinkled ahead. Small beacons of safety. Kayleri leaned on Marcus's arm, tired but triumphant. As they walked, Marcus glanced at her with a racing heart. The mission was complete, but his unspoken feelings stayed buried in the jungle shadows. He would guard her again tomorrow, and perhaps one day he would find the courage to speak what lay in his heart. Reports crackled over the comlink as Sergeant Marcus Hale and Kayleri stood at the edge of the forward base. A rogue human faction had attacked several Lyra villages, destroying farms and scattering families. The Lyra Council begged for help. Marcus glanced at Kayleri's pale blue face, its calm mask hiding fierce determination. She nodded once, and he knew she would go. They boarded an armored transport with a mixed squad of human and Lyra soldiers. The vehicle rumbled across a dusty plain, the twin moons faint in the morning sky. Dust kicked up in swirling clouds, coating Marcus's helmet in fine grit. Kayleri sat beside him, clutching her datapad, her dark eyes fixed on the holographic map. 3 villages hit, she said softly. They burned the crops and captured civilians. Marcus frowned. We'll get them back. His voice was steady, though his heart pounded with worry for both her people and the mission ahead. When they reached the first village, smoke curled from shattered huts. The ground was scared by energy blasts. A handful of frightened Lyra ran toward them, crying for help. Kayleri leaped down and knelt beside a trembling elder, scanning her injuries. Marcus ordered the squad to set up a defensive perimeter. Under Kayleri's calm direction, they treated burns and broken limbs. Children clung to their parents, eyes wide with fear. Marcus handed out water rations, offering a gentle smile to each survivor. He felt Kayleri's gaze as she watched him. For a moment, his guard slipped, and he saw gratitude and hope shining in her eyes. Thank you, human soldier, she said quietly when the wounded were stabilized. Marcus nodded. We're here to protect you. They pressed on to the next village at dusk. Along the way, Kayleri shared stories of her home world. Verdant valleys that bloomed under a lavender sky, crystal rivers that sang with gentle currents. Marcus listened, imagining those peaceful lands. Each description made him more determined to drive out the attackers. At the second village, they found Lyra soldiers pinned down by snipers hidden in ruined buildings. Marcus led a flanking maneuver through narrow alleyways. Kayleri stayed close, using her knowledge of local architecture to guide them. Under her direction, the team outwitted the snipers and freed the trapped soldiers. When the last shooter fell silent, Kayleri placed a hand on Marcus's arm. You saved them, she said, her voice filled with quiet pride. Marcus felt a surge of warmth. We saved them together. Night fell as they neared the third village. Flames still licked at the outskirts. The rogue faction had set traps, and Marcus felt the tension tighten in his chest. He gave orders, each clipped and clear, while Kaleri coordinated with local scouts to find safe paths. They found the captives huddled in a half-collapsed barn. 2 armed guards stood watch. Marcus signaled his squad forward. Kaleri slipped inside through a broken wall. In a flash, they subdued the guards. She unlocked the makeshift cell, and the villagers rushed out, hugging each other and crying tears of relief. As the rescued Lyra streamed toward safety, Marcus and Kaleri stood side by side. Smoke and moonlight cast shifting shadows across their faces. Marcus realized his hidden feelings were stronger than ever. He would protect her, not just as a soldier, but as someone who cared deeply for her life and for her world. And he vowed that once this threat was defeated, he would find a way to speak his heart's truth. Sergeant Marcus Hale led his mixed squad across the scared fields toward an abandoned command post. The air felt heavy with tension. Kaleri walked beside him, her scanner held ready, not for alien life this time, but for human signals. Rumors said a human deserter had joined the rogue faction. Marcus's jaw tightened. A fellow soldier turning against his own made him uneasy. They reached the shattered building as dusk settled. Broken terminals flickered. Energy panels lay cracked on the ground. Kaleri crouched to examine scorch marks, while Marcus scanned the area for movement. Then he saw a lone figure crawling out of the doorway, a man in tattered uniform, face streaked with dirt and fear. "Don't shoot," the deserter rasped, raising his hands. His voice shook. I'm not your enemy." Marcus raised his rifle but did not fire. "Identify yourself," he ordered. The deserter's name was Corporal Genis. He said he had refused orders to attack Lyra villages and fled. "They wanted me to kill women and children," he whispered. "I couldn't." Marcus lowered his weapon slightly. The confession struck him hard. Duty and honor clashed in his mind. He remembered Kaleri's gentle smile after he rescued her. He remembered her trust. Could he condemn this man for protecting innocence? But Genis continued, "I joined the rogues so I could warn you. They plan to ambush your team at the next village." His eyes darted to Kaleri. "Tell her I'm sorry." Marcus glanced at Kaleri, who had her hand on her data pad, listening. She looked at the deserter with surprise, then with pity. Marcus felt a sudden surge of anger. Anger at the rogue faction for forcing a soldier into hiding. Anger at the war that pitted humanity against kindness. "Why should I believe you?" Marcus asked. His voice was firm. "You led them to this base." "They promised safety," Genis said. "But they lied. They'll kill every Lyra in that village." Marcus weighed his options. He could turn Genis over to military police, or he could trust his instincts and use the deserter's warning. Duty urged him to follow orders and report this man. Compassion urged him to save future victims. He hesitated. Kaleri stepped forward. "We need his help," she said softly. Her voice carried calm authority. "If we move now, we can prevent more bloodshed." Marcus looked at her. In her dark eyes, he saw hope and determination stronger than any weapon. He lowered his rifle all the way. "All right," he said. "You'll lead us out safely." Relief washed over Genis's face. He guided Marcus and Kaleri through hidden corridors around the perimeter. As they moved, Marcus felt a fierce loyalty to Kaleri's cause, and to her. Each moment he saved, each life spared, bound him closer to her world. They emerged on a ridge overlooking the next village, the glow of oil lamps flickering below. Kaleri pointed out hidden enemy positions. Marcus relayed orders crisply, confident in their new advantage. The squad repositioned quietly. At his side, Kaleri's calm focus steadied him. When the ambush failed and the road fighters retreated, Marcus stood beside Kaleri on the ridge. He felt pride in the victory, but also a quiet awe for the alien woman who had taught him trust across species. His feelings for her burned brighter than ever. In war's chaos, they had chosen loyalty over hatred, and that choice drew their hearts ever closer. When night fell, the team set up camp beneath towering bioluminescent vines that draped like curtains of soft green light. Sergeant Marcus Hale and Kaleri found a quiet spot aside from the others. The air was cool and smelled of damp earth and alien flowers. Firelight danced across broken branches, and distant insect calls echoed through the forest. Kaleri settled onto a mossy log and opened her datapad. She scanned the day's readings with calm focus, but her brow furrowed. Marcus sat beside her, gently brushing a glowing leaf from her shoulder. He studied her profile by the pale light. Her delicate cheekbones, the soft curve of her neck, and the way her lavender hair caught the glow. "Your scans show the soil is recovering," Marcus said quietly. "The village fields will grow again." Kaleri looked up, her dark eyes reflecting both hope and fatigue. "Yes," she replied. "It will take time, but the land is strong." She closed the datapad and tucked it into her satchel. "I could not have studied this world before. Now I see its beauty and its pain." Marcus nodded. He hesitated, then added, "You have helped many today." She offered him a gentle smile. "I could not have done it without you." Her gaze met his, and a warm hush passed between them. Above, a pair of twin moons traced silver arcs across the sky. Marcus's heart pounded. He had kept his feelings hidden, fearing duty would never allow him to love an alien. But tonight, away from orders and the noise of battle, his resolve wavered. He opened his mouth to speak, to tell her how much her bravery meant, how her laughter lit even the darkest moments. But Kaleri's distant look shifted as she rose and walked to a small stream nearby, its water glowing with microscopic life. Marcus followed. At the stream's edge, Kaleri knelt and cupped her hands to the water. Ripples glowed beneath her palms. She whispered a Lyra phrase, and the water's light pulsed gently. Marcus watched, entranced by the ritual. When she straightened, she found him at her side. She did not startle. Instead, she took a deep breath. "Marcus, do you ever wonder what life could be like if there were no war?" she asked, voice soft. He sat on a smooth stone. "Every day," he admitted. "I dream of home and peace, of simple things, walking in a garden, hearing children laugh." Kaleri knelt beside him. "I dream of that too." She touched his hand, and he felt the faint glow of her fingertips. "My people believe that light flows through all living things. Tonight, I feel that light in your heart." His breath caught. He leaned closer. The vines overhead shimmered. "Kaleri," he whispered, I have wanted to tell you." A low rumble shook the ground. Both froze as distant alarms sounded from the camp. The moment shattered. Kaleri stood and reached for her scanner. Marcus rose, guilt and longing twisting inside him. She gave him a quick, understanding glance. "Duty calls," she said, voice firm but kind. Marcus swallowed. Yes, always duty. They hurried back through the glowing forest. Behind them, the vines swayed in silence. In his chest, Marcus carried two truths: his duty as a soldier and a hope that one day, beyond war, he would find the courage to finish what he had begun to say. Under the pale light of Nova Centauri's twin moons, Sergeant Marcus Hale led his squad through a narrow canyon. Kaleri walked close beside him, still shaken from their midnight watch. The canyon walls rose high, jagged, and dark, but bioluminescent moss painted pale green streaks along the stones. Marcus scanned every shadow. He trusted Kaleri's instincts, but every step felt heavy with danger. Their objective was a hidden supply cache abandoned after the last skirmish. Human and Lyra engineers needed the supplies to rebuild villages. Marcus signaled his team to spread out. Kaleri held her scanner tight, searching for energy signatures that would mark the cache location. Suddenly, a sharp whistle echoed through the canyon. The squad froze. Marcus's heart thundered. He snapped a hand signal. "Take cover." Before they could react, a volley of plasma bolts streaked overhead, lighting the dark rocks with bright blue flashes. "Ambush!" Marcus shouted, ducking behind a boulder. Kayleri stumbled and fell to one knee, her scanner skittering away. Marcus dove forward and helped her up. "Stay down," he ordered, firing back. The rogue fighters emerged from hidden crevices, their armor dark and twisted, their faces hidden behind angry red visors. Marcus's squad returned fire, but the enemy had the high ground. Plasma bolts hissed, and the canyon rang with the sound of energy impacts. Kayleri pulled her translator out and called for backup, her voice urgent. Marcus covered her as she spoke. Then he heard a cry behind him. A young Lyra soldier had been hit and fallen to the ground. Kayleri tried to go to him, but a rogue fighter raised a stun rifle and aimed at her. "No," Marcus roared, pushing her down and firing in the same moment. His shot struck the attacker's weapon, but the blast threw debris that knocked Marcus off balance. In the confusion, another rogue fighter leaped forward and grabbed Kayleri's arm. She tried to struggle, but the soldier's grip was strong. Kayleri's eyes widened with shock as she realized she was their bait. "Let her go," Marcus yelled, charging through the firestorm. The other soldiers held their ground, pinning down the rogues to slow them down. Marcus broke through the lines and reached Kayleri, but a plasma bolt scorched the ground beside him, sending him sprawling. He looked up to see Kayleri being dragged toward a narrow exit in the canyon wall. Marcus scrambled to his feet, fury rising. He grabbed his combat knife and sprinted after her. "Kayleri," he called, but his voice was swallowed by echoes. The canyon stretched ahead like a trap. Kayleri's hand slipped free for a moment. She looked back, fear and pleading in her dark eyes. Then she vanished around the bend. Marcus skidded to a halt. He turned to his squad, breath coming in ragged gasps. They were pinned down, low on ammo, and the rogues held the passage. He swallowed hard, determination hardening in his chest. "Fall back," he ordered. "We go after her." The squad retreated under covering fire, but Marcus stayed at the rear. Each step away from Kayleri felt like tearing out his own heart. He would not leave her to those mercenaries. He would mount a rescue. When they reached a safe distance, Marcus gathered the remaining soldiers. "Tonight," he said, voice low and fierce, "we take back our friend. We end this." The men and women around him nodded, their resolve matching his. And so, under the watchful moons, Marcus vowed to bring Kayleri home, no matter the cost. Under the harsh glare of portable floodlights, Sergeant Marcus Hale and his small rescue team circled the rogue faction's hidden camp. The rocky plateau was littered with makeshift tents and supply crates. Marcus's heart pounded as he spotted Kayleri bound to a central post, her lavender hair loose against her pale blue skin. He motioned to his squad. With swift precision, they moved in, each soldier taking a position around the perimeter. Marcus crept forward, pulse rifle low, eyes locked on the guards. Kayleri looked up and met his gaze. Relief and fear shone in her dark eyes, giving Marcus strength. A single whistle from Marcus sent the squad into action. Bolts of plasma light sliced through the night air. Marcus strafed the nearest guard, forcing him to drop his weapon. Two soldiers freed Kayleri's arms, cutting through the restraints with beam knives. She staggered forward, blinking against the bright lights. Marcus rushed to her side. "Are you hurt?" he whispered, gently brushing a strand of hair from her face. Kayleri shook her head, voice quivering. I'm okay, thanks to you." Sirens wailed in the distance. Reinforcements would arrive soon. Marcus glanced at Kayleri's trembling hands and felt urgency. He placed a hand on her shoulder. "We need to move," he said softly. She nodded and took his arm. Together, they backed toward the canyon entrance. Plasma fire erupted behind them as rogues fired in desperation. Marcus led the way, shielding Kayleri with his body, every step a promise of protection. When they reached a narrow overhang, Marcus paused, listening for pursuit. Kayleri looked up at him, eyes wide. In that moment, the noise of battle faded. Marcus's throat tightened. He realized that if he did not speak now, he might never find the courage again. He knelt beside her, lowering his voice. "Kaliri, I don't just protect you because it's my duty," he began. "I protect you because I care about you more than anyone I've ever known." His words trembled on the air, raw and honest. Kaliri's eyes softened. The bioluminescent moss on the canyon walls glowed around them, bathing them in gentle light. "Marcus," she whispered, "I feel the same." She laid a hand over his. "Your courage, your kindness, it means more to me than I can say." Marcus's heart soared. He carefully took her hand in both of his. "I have loved you since the day I carried you from the ruins," he confessed, voice steady now. "I was afraid to tell you, but I cannot hide it any longer." Tears of relief glinted in Kaliri's eyes. She leaned forward and rested her forehead against his. "Your heart shines with truth," she said softly. "We will face whatever comes, together." Behind them, distant shouts signaled the rogues were regrouping. Marcus straightened, determination in his stance. He offered Kaliri his hand. "Come on, let's finish this rescue, together." She nodded, squeezing his hand. As they slipped back into the shadows, side by side, their unspoken bond had finally become words. In the night of danger, their confession had kindled a light stronger than any weapon, one that would guide them through the battle still to come. In the dim light of dawn, the ruined canyon walls glowed softly with the last traces of bioluminescent moss. Sergeant Marcus Hale and Kaliri pressed forward, moving as one through the narrow pass. Their small team trailed behind, securing each turn against any lingering rogue fighters. Marcus kept his rifle at the ready, but his focus never left Kaliri. He watched her dark eyes scan the path with steady confidence. Moments earlier, Kaliri had confessed that her heart had opened to him, and now her hand rested lightly in his. The simple warmth of her touch bolstered his courage more than any weapon. He could still hear her whispered words, her promise to stand by him once this war was done. In his chest, a new hope stirred alongside his duty to fight. Suddenly, the canyon widened into a shallow basin littered with cracked crates and spent energy cells. Rogue sentries lay unconscious where Marcus's squad had struck. Kaliri paused at the edge, scanning for hidden traps. Her translator unit crackled quietly, relaying scans of faint movement to Marcus's earpiece. He nodded, and together they advanced, clearing the area with precise, careful steps.